I'm John, and this is Robert.
Robert.
We're the Retro Rangers.
That's right. And this is our list of our most wanted games. Games that we want for our collection, regardless of what they are.
Value
or things like that.
Being imported.
Now, most of these are probably going to be expensive because there's stuff that's just not easy to find. Or in the case of like one of mine, it's relatively easy to find. I've just not found it when I've had the money for it.
That's the bitch. The first one I wanted is the Macross game for the Super Nintendo. Obviously, by the name of the channel, I am a huge Robotech fan. But
both of us are.
Yeah, I prefer Robotech to Macross, but that's a battle for a different day. That game was really awesome, and it was. And
another one that I'd like to see that's not on my list, and I'm pretty sure you'd like it too, is the best Macross game made today.
The PS2 one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want that. I want that so bad.
Yeah.
One of the ones I'm looking for, I didn't jump on it when I thought I had a chance to, and by the time I got around to trying to find it, it's currently going for about $100, and that's Dragon Quest IV for the DS. I'm a big Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior fan. John got me Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 for the Super Nintendo reproduction cartridge. I mean, I've got 1 and 2 for the Nintendo. I've got 1 and 2 for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I've got 5, 6, and 9 on the DS. I have 8 on the PS2. I'm missing 7, which I didn't write down. And I'm missing 4 for the DS. And 4 for the DS is a hell of a lot harder to find than 7 for the PS1. And, I mean, buying that... I mean, you can still buy it brand new for $100.
The next one I put on there is kind of a plural because I've only got 2 out of the 6. And I'm horrible at these games. I acknowledge that I am horrible at NES Mega Man or Mega Man in general games. I just am. But they're fun, and they're awesome. And I would like 1 through 6, and possibly some of the Super Nintendo ones. But I would at least like 1 through 6. I have number 2. Metal Man was awesome, and the Shizzy. I'm just saying, Metal Man was like the most awesome Mega Man power there ever was.
It's the most broken.
That's why it was awesome. And like, almost every boss was weak to it. Almost every boss.
Including bosses that shouldn't have been weak to it.
No, they shouldn't have, but it was awesome. Anyways.
So you want the Mega Mans. My next one's an obvious one. And that's Earthbound. I mean, and I know it's on your list too.
It is, because it's sexy.
It is, and it's one of those, like, it's such a hard game to find. And years and years and years ago, you could have found it anywhere.
You could have.
And most people brushed it off. Hell, I didn't even know what Earthbound was when I looked at it the first time.
Then the price gougers attacked, and nothing's been the same since. A lot of these are reproduction games because
At least yours are.
Got a lot of hard-on for reproductions. I just do. There's a Slayers RPG, like the anime Slayers. It has been translated. I know of one site was carrying it as a reproduction there for a while, and that series was awesome, and it was funny. And I can imagine that only an RPG of the such would be the same. So yeah, I want.
Alright, I'd like to find... I mean, I know where I can find a copy of it, but he wants like $100 for it. And that's Dragon Warrior 3 for the NES. I'd like to have 4 as well for the NES, but I'd rather have 4 for the DS with the upgraded graphics and the better storyline. But 3 for the NES is that one that just... That is the Dragon Quest that everybody wants. And I'm not just mean everybody wants. I mean, if you look at the all-time greatest RPGs in Japanese history, it's like number 4.
Really?
Number 1's Final Fantasy X.
10 was good.
But still, I mean, it's Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest 3. I want that game.
You got a longer list than I do, so you should probably do 1 or 2 more.
Another one that I really want is Secret of Mana.
That's one that I forgot to write down. I really would like that game. I found Secret of Evermore, but Secret of Mana, I'd like to have it because it's one of the great Super Nintendo RPGs.
That sadly, that series never reclaimed that kind of glory. But I want Secret of Mana. I borrowed it from a friend. I don't know, he's still got it. The problem is that man never answers messages, ever, and I know he's sitting on some games that I could probably get from him for cheap.
There's a guy from Connuga like that.
And since I've still got a few more than you...
I've got one that I just didn't put on the list. The second Castlevania Dracula X for the Super Nintendo. I really want that game, but that's one of those that I do want it more because it's a rare game. I do love the Castlevania series. There was the guy I got that Simon's Quest, I think I've mentioned from Connuga, that's in the original box and still has some of the
Yeah.
cellophane, not really sexy. But yeah, he apparently has it. He says he's going to come off it for a good price. He can't find it, so either he's lying or he honestly can't find it. But he apparently bought like 10,000 games in box from a guy for a good price and was just trying to resell them. So,
well, and Dracula X is one of those that I'd like to find a copy of it too. I'd prefer to find a copy of Bloodlines because Dracula X is a terrible port of a TurboGrafx game. This one's a fairly easy one to find. We found it when we went to Sweetwater, but
oh, so yeah, you haven't seen that yet, so yeah.
But this one is Colony Wars for the PlayStation 1. The first Colony Wars was one of those space combat simulators that I just enjoyed. I played the hell out of that thing.
Right.
And it was one of those games that I got rid of when I was looking to expand into other stuff. So, and I've regretted getting rid of it because it's one of those games I've never found it when I've had the money for it.
It's not on the list, and it's more of a console, but I want a Dreamcast. Because Bongo is on the Dreamcast, which Bongo is fucking awesome.
Bongo, the only game to ever crash a Dreamcast. Or at least the only one I've ever seen.
Which the Dreamcast was an underrated machine, which is awesome. I'm missing one. I want one. And I wasn't listed on my list, but I'm throwing it there because that's how I roll.
Another PS1 game, Mega Man X4. I have the Mega Man X collection. But
That's going to cost you a bit.
Mega Man X4? Yeah. I know it is.
Okay, and this is a reproduction. Actually, it's more of a ROM hack. But there is a guy who's right now selling Mario RPG Armageddon, which apparently is like a super fucking hard version of this, and this being like my favorite game of all time.
Well, this is on my list. So since he brought up Armageddon, I want this. I want to re-find my copy of this. So 2 of the games on my list, by the way, were games that were stolen and pawned.
Bastard.
And both of them were complete in box.
To go into my love for this stays in a fireproof safe in a rental case. Just saying.
I can't blame you for that one at all.
Anyways,
that's one of the ones that's on my list. Not the Armageddon one, but the original.
Armageddon wouldn't be bad though.
I wouldn't mind the Armageddon one. After that, I want Shadowrun for the SNES. That's one of those games where I've only played the ROM. And I actually was playing the Shadowrun pen and paper RPG forever and a day ago, and
and this is another repro, or actually this is a custom or a new game really, but you have to do it as a repro. And that's Halo 2600. Because Halo on the Atari 2600, that's hot. That is like lava hot.
Isn't it a modification of Berserk?
No.
This is one of the other games that got stolen from me, and it was complete in box.
Oof.
And the story of it was, I walked into one of the few game stores we had left before they shut down, called Game Source, and he had just gotten it in. And me and the owner were on really good terms, because, I knew him in high school, and others.
You supplied him food from a pizza restaurant.
Yes, I did. I supplied his entire employee thing with food. Quite often.
Stomach goes far away.
And he had it sitting there, and he sold me Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals, for $25, complete in box. And I loaned it to my mother so that she would have something to play while I was doing some other stuff. And her bastard of a husband, who is not with us anymore, pawned my Lufia 2 and my Super Mario RPG. Because they were complete in box, and I think he got like $10 for both of them.
The other one, and this is kind of my most wanted game because it's kind of an obsession of mine when I play those games. And the one I really like is for the GBA, and that's Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town. But what I want is Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo. Because I've never played it, I really want to. I love the games they're actually on the console that have that format of the 2D up down that where 9 seeds is 9 or 1 seed is 9 plants. I really like that, how that plays over the more modern ones where it's like 1 seed per plant. Those don't work as well to me. And I love those gameplay, and for some reason I get this addiction where I'm just like must farm when I'm playing those games. And I don't know, they're just really good quality games. They're family, wholesome, and they make me want to go be a farmer and grow shit, but I know I can't because I'm fat and I'm lazy, and that shit ain't gonna happen. I know that. I'm aware. I am aware. So that's what I'm about to make
they're. I mean, I'm kind of surprised you never got into the futuristic versions of them.
The Rune Factory.
Yeah, and then the last two on the list, unless you can come up with another one.
You go for it. And I'll think in the middle.
I want Suikoden 2. That's again. I've got the original Suikoden. I've got 3. I did have 5, and I don't know why my dumbass traded that in, but I did. I will never own 4. I may for collector value at some point. But, no, I want Suikoden 2. It's one of those games, I never owned it. Everybody I know that played the first one had the second one. My friend Randy has it, Daniel has it, but it's one of those games that I just never got around to picking up. And I hate myself for not picking it up, because that is a really hard to find, really expensive game.
Yeah.
Last on the list, although there's another one I didn't write down, but last on the list is In Hinder, which is the Squaresoft shoot 'em up. It's a side-scrolling, and then it's side-scrolling, and then every so often it veers this way. So it's a half 3D. And it's a really awesome game. And, I mean, hell, we found it when we went up to Game Galaxy in an episode that's not aired yet. And he still got it, but I don't want to pay him for it because it's in a fake case.
Yeah, it's one of the... I thought of something, by the
right.
way. And this, when I start to reach, you'll know what I'm going for. I want an arcade cabinet. An arcade cabinet that I have a really, really high score on for once.
You're 26.
I want a Crazy Taxi arcade cabinet. Those things, I love Crazy Taxi. It plays my favorite band, The Offspring. Those are good, fun games. And I would love the arcade cabinet. When we worked at that pizza restaurant together, I owned that game like it was my bitch. It was like 26,580 something was my score.
You were in the millions.
No, I didn't make it in the millions. 26,500 some millions. No one's ever made in the millions on that game. And I was number 1 through 20 on that. And that is a thing I would. I don't even have a place to put it.
The only thing that irritated me about that whole story is that I had the 4th spot, and then you kept playing the game until you conquered the entire top 20. And I'm sure we'll come up with more, and as we find them, hopefully we'll find these as we go out. Or, who knows? Maybe somebody has some spare copies,
Back to the other video where you'll get a signed copy of Combat where we'll devalue the game for your going good. Oh, God, we're so shameless here. But this has been Retro Rangers. And
like, subscribe, and share.
And favorite, and do all that crazy stuff you do. Follow us on Twitter at the same name as the channel, Rick Hunter 101 at Twitter, and
at Surlio, Surllio.
And that's it.
And that's it. We are filming.
Awesome. On my boot.
I mean, yeah, I know I could beat it in 1 if I wanted to, but, I work a day job, and I do this stuff, and I edit video, and...
You make movies.
Yeah, I make movies.
He makes movies. He won Best Director Award.
Yes, I did. You can check that out on my YouTube channel.
You should. It's hot.
But...